by the time I got to meet Ram Dass, I had already, heard a lot of his lectures. I had read Be Here Now, which is just a incredibly transcendent book. I highly recommend it. It's actually just a transcription of one of his lectures, something he said live. Anyways, my buddy Milo got darshan for us with Ram Dass, and this is like late stage Ram Dass, so he'd had a stroke. He's in like a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, and half his body didn't work, and his speech was very slow. And so we went into his home on Maui, and he, wheeled into the room, and he started to talk to us. And mostly, Andre, he said things I'd already heard him say on his recordings or on, in his books. And we sat with him for about 40 minutes, at which point Ram Dass looked at us, his big eyes, and he just looked at us like he loved us so much. Like we could have said, like, "Hi, I'm a serial killer. It's great to meet you." He just would have loved me, He looked at us after these 40 minutes and he said, "Okay, it's time for you to go." I remember I stood up and I kissed him on the forehead. Because after these 40 minutes, I felt like he's like my uncle or like my dad. You know what I mean? I felt so connected to him. And then I walked out of the house. I crossed the threshold of the front door and I looked outside and I keeled over. And this feeling of oneness swept over me. And it's like, dude, no drugs, no alcohol, like 100% sober. The only intoxicant that I was being influenced by was this love that he was emanating or had just emanated. And I'm looking outside and I see the clouds and the dirt on the road and the car door and the rusty gate. And I felt connected to all of it. Like I was just part of this beautiful oneness. And I remember thinking, man, I hope I feel like this when I wake up tomorrow. And of course, when I woke up, I felt like my normal self, But the reason that day was important to me wasn't just for the high experience, the transcendent experience. It was because, gosh, here's a guy who I don't think is special, meaning he's special in like he did a lot of work and he we're all special, and he shared his soul and made an impact on the world. But he didn't have any like equipment or machinery that you and I don't have or anybody watching doesn't have. Like, I don't worship Ram Dass. I don't think he's like the savior. I think he's like a Jewish dude from Boston. Like I was a Jewish dude from Detroit, and he did the work, and while I was already on my spiritual path and I was meditating, experimenting, there's still a corner of me going, is this shit real? Like, am I wasting my time? Like, am I crazy? Meditating on stuff, And after that day, I go, well, 100% this is real. Like I don't need to like read a study on what I felt that day. It was real. Inside, like I felt it. And what I felt was someone who did the work and was emanating love to such an extent that it made me literally feel like I was on a psychedelic just from being around them. Also, another distinction, not from anything he said. Mm-hmm. I already heard all the shit he said, and he could barely talk. He had a stroke. Like, It was his being. And so for me, that was a changing, an inflection point, because I thought, wow, A, that's possible. B, I want people to feel like that when they're around me. And C, I can't think of anything else more important to work on. And so it changed my life.